In 1976, three guys soldered circuit boards in a California garage. Today, it is the most valuable corporate entity on Earth. This chart shows exactly how massive that valuation is. By 2026, Apple reached a market capitalization of $4 trillion. Market capitalization is the total dollar market value of a company's outstanding shares of stock. If you take the entire value of Meta, Netflix, and Intel and stack them on top of each other, Apple is still bigger. That financial weight is built on a massive human footprint. Right now, 2.2 billion people live inside the Apple ecosystem. It is a connected digital community larger than the populations of China and India combined. Apple reached this height by strictly enforcing a design philosophy that Wozniak and Jobs laid out early on. Technology must be perfectly married to the liberal arts, focusing on simplicity, beauty, and the human experience. The early bedrock of the company relied on contrasting visionaries. You had the pure engineering genius of Steve Wozniak, paired with the foundational business strategies and funding from early investor Mike Markula. Wozniak's engineering culminated in the Apple II. Before this machine, computers were bare circuit boards for hobbyists. The Apple II wrapped a color-capable computer in an approachable, consumer-friendly plastic case, bringing it directly into ordinary homes and schools. But rapid growth brought friction. Under CEO John Sculley, internal power struggles forced Steve Jobs out of his own company in 1985. Without its primary visionary, Apple entered a decade-long decline, burning through cash and bleeding market share until it was practically bankrupt. That painful 12-year exile forced Jobs to learn how to actually run a business. When Apple finally bought his new venture, Next, in 1997, Jobs returned with a profound maturity. He ruthlessly cut failing projects, restored the culture of innovation, and executed the greatest corporate turnaround in business history. In the late 70s and early 80s, using a computer meant memorizing cryptic lines of text. You had to type specific, unforgiving commands just to open a file or run a program. Apple tried to solve this with the Lisa in 1983. It failed commercially, largely because of its prohibitive $9,995 price tag. But it served as a crucial prototype, introducing the public to the Graphical User Interface, or GUI. A GUI replaces typed commands with visual icons you can point to and click using a mouse. Engineers took the hard lessons from the Lisa, stripped down the costs, and released the Macintosh in 1984. By putting that visual interface into a compact, affordable, all-in-one design, they established the standard layout for all modern personal computers. When Jobs returned to rescue the company in the late 90s, he applied a similar philosophy to the iMac G3. He boldly killed off the floppy disk drive and legacy ports, forcing the tech industry to adopt the new USB standard, all wrapped in a stunning translucent blue casing. Apple's hardware dominance is rooted in its willingness to use commercial failures as funded research and development for consumer-friendly revolutions. Consider the Newton message pad from 1993. It was widely mocked for its flawed handwriting recognition and heavy frame. But to make a handheld device work at all, Apple had to invest heavily in mobile silicon using the ARM architecture. ARM is a processor design that maximizes computing speed while using very little battery power. Those early lessons in mobile silicon directly enabled the classic iPod in 2001. By pairing a tiny, high-capacity hard drive with a brilliantly simple mechanical scroll wheel, Apple allowed users to put 1,000 songs in their pocket, rescuing the music industry from digital piracy. Then, in 2007, they compressed all of that into the iPhone. It completely eliminated physical keyboards and styluses, relying entirely on a multi-touch glass screen to merge a phone, an iPod, and an internet communicator into one single device. The release of the iPhone and later the iPod created the modern app economy. By establishing a frictionless digital storefront, Apple incubated entirely new industries, from ride-sharing to short-form video, and shifted society into a state of constant connectivity. Under the operational mastery of CEO Tim Cook, that ecosystem expanded from pockets to wrists. Cook drastically improved supply chain efficiency and launched highly profitable wearables like the Apple Watch, packing advanced biometric sensors into a tiny daily accessory. By designing their own custom silicon chips and dictating every step of the global supply chain, Apple created a seamless user experience. It works so perfectly together that once a consumer enters the ecosystem, it is almost entirely frictionless to stay and nearly impossible to leave. After decades of refining the glowing glass rectangle, the company is now laying the groundwork to move past handheld screens entirely, pushing toward a spatial computing environment. The $3,500 Vision Pro headset is the heavy, expensive first step toward this post-phone reality. Eventually, Apple wants to pack this technology into lightweight augmented reality glasses, where real-time translations and digital alerts float seamlessly in your natural field of view. To power that interface, they are weaving Apple Intelligence deeply into their operating systems. Their AI is designed to act as an invisible utility. It quietly summarizes long emails, extracts flight numbers from texts, and cross-references your schedule, all in the background. To handle the processing power required for these tasks without exposing user data, they developed private cloud compute. It is a secure data center architecture that receives your complex AI requests, processes them, and immediately deletes the data, never storing it on a server. Apple's strategy for the AI era is to make artificial intelligence a secure, invisible utility running in the background of daily tasks. Simultaneously, Apple is aggressively expanding its hardware into the clinical healthcare space. They are training algorithms to analyze heartbeat pressure waves right from the wrist, allowing the watch to detect early signs of hypertension. They are pouring research into continuous, non-invasive glucose monitoring, a way to track blood sugar without finger pricks. And they have already secured FDA approval for AirPods to function as over-the-counter clinical hearing aids. As they scale this hardware production, they are strictly enforcing environmental targets. By 2030, Apple is committed to achieving 100% carbon neutrality across its entire global supply chain and completely eliminating plastic from its packaging. Apple's next 50 years will be defined by the intelligent, invisible systems that seamlessly monitor our bodies, protect our data, and adapt to our environment.